Hi, it's a Friday. You know what that means? At least I hope you do by now.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
No lie, it is Friday. John here, you there, and we're stacked today. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to give you the promos here in a sec. Jamie Watson's going to join us. We'll talk Club World Cup and Major League Soccer, get you to the bottom of the hour, see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring are not traveling the planet and doing soccer for good, and see if we can catch up with either Mr. Garza or Mr. Parkhurst. 10 o'clock, we get another debut visit. Chris Wittyngham from Apple TV and MLS. He will be joining us for the first time ever, and we'll try and do everything and be on our best behavior, make sure that he does not run off into the sunset and sit there with arms flailing and go, what have I gotten myself into? And then we might have a special guest coming up at 10:30. So like after 10:30, we're anticipating perhaps being joined by a fourth individual. So it's going to be Jamie Watson, hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, Chris Wittyngham, and a special guest, and an unnamed anticipated special guest star coming up at 10:30. So that's the rundown. Obviously, we got to get through Major League Soccer, get through all your juice boxes, go through all the news of the morning. And we got to be out by like 11:10 because Atlanta United 2 is hosting their press conference, their MD-2 with head coach Steve Cook and Ryan Carmichael, and we got to dump out for that so we can be ready for the game. Remember, Crew 2, Atlanta United 2 on Sunday is going to be on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. We're going to have special pregame on the SDH network, 7 o'clock. Then we'll dump out by about 7:20. 7:25-ish on 92.9 The Game. It'll be Maddie and Jason. They're going to kick things off there at 92.9 The Game, like 7:25, kick 7:33, and then we'll have a bit of a post game after that. So kind of a hybrid on Sunday, looking at everything that's going to be attached to everything in MLS Next Pro. It's the one time of the year where 92.9 does an MLS Next Pro match. Maddie and Jason will have that for you coming up on Sunday night. All right. Officially a no dilly, no dally zone, because you know what that means. It's time for us to rock and roll. And last time that Jamie was with us, he was out on the lanai. You know, we're trying to hear like trains and things and birds dive bombing him and things like that. And so now he is indoors. He is in a calmer environment. Morning, sir.
John, good morning, man. How are you?
You tell me. You're the one that's been calling action at the Club World Cup and learning pronouncers and all this kind of stuff for a tournament that had like 98 matches every day that you got to hang out with.
Man, I tell you what, first off, I'm very upset I'm not outside right now taking this morning call with my cup of coffee here because my lovely neighbor, he's a wonderful chef. His name's Brian Baxter. He decides to start mowing 5 minutes before when I'm sitting outside, and I was like, you know what, Brian, fair enough. Keep it moving. We'll go inside. So we'll take this one indoors here today. So it's like we're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We had to close the roof, had to come inside, get rid of the elements, and we're in here chatting with you, John. But what an action-packed show you've got today, man! I cannot wait. And Chris Wittyngham, great friend of mine. The special guest you've got is a big one. Can't believe you pulled that one off. So I'm very excied about that. And either Garza or Parkia, you can't go wrong with either one of those guys.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's always fun to catch up with them at 9:30 for when they're not traveling the planet, and we get to do Beyond Goals Mentoring and find out what's going on with them with the Friday free kick and everything. I wanted to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit when it came to your preparation and everything for the Club World Cup, because it literally was churn and go and churn and go and churn and go. How much of a challenge was it for you to learn what you could learn about all these clubs in the Club World Cup and dance as fast as you could in calling all these matches?
Man, I'd say, first of all, what a bucket list dream come true this past month was getting to cover matches for DAZN and for TNT. It was incredible. So got a chance to spend some time in Atlanta for these matches and call the games, which was great because DAZN had people on site, excuse me, calling some games for different countries that DAZN would have the production for, and then we had the U.S. domestic DAZN broadcast, which was incredible. And so we went to the wonderful, beautiful studios in Atlanta, and we were able to do some games. It was great being in Nashville. I was only 4 hours away, so it was awesome. So got a chance to have my family there for a little bit of time, but everything was absolutely first class. To a degree that I didn't know existed in broadcasting, with how they took care of us and looked after us, and the big unsung heroes to this entire project were the countless people that were working behind the scenes to make it all happen. We were ultimately the end product, the broadcasters. But Shaw Brown was the one that really put us all together, helped put the team, along with Ann that was there. They were producing. Art was doing the studio. They had turned the whole inside the NBA studio into the daily FIFA Club World Cup show. It was incredible, but we had some incredible help with getting our information each and every day for the matches. We have a great company they work with, True Media. Steve Swaitlowski and Paul Carr each day would fill your inbox with all the information you could possibly want on these teams. So I can't wait to dive more into it with you of how we would figure it all out, because each and every day, if it weren't for the news and notes that were delivered in the backgrounds of us, it would have been impossible to be able to cover this. So it really did take a village, and this was the coolest village to be a part of.
How many different teams did you call? Do you remember off the top of your head?
So I was fortunate. I did 16 games total, but we'll have to do some math here on it, because I was able to do all three of the Seattle Sounders games, which
Okay.
was really, really cool, because I knew, as this was being the domestic broadcast, every MLS fan was going to be watching Seattle Sounders, right? So it was really personally like a cool moment for me, because MLS is the league that I love, and the biggest stage in global club football, Seattle was a part of it, and I got to call a couple of their games, which was really, really cool, and some big ones: PSG, Atletico Madrid, and yeah, hey,
Average.
and Botafogo. There were some teams in there that, John, I had imposter syndrome. I'm like, what am I doing calling this, man? It's incredible. And then so total teams.
So you got all the Group B, so that's 4.
Yeah. So we can run through it here. I'll tell you right now. We'll go through it together here, as I've got my my incredibly handy FOTMob app, which
There
I
you
was
go.
married to during this. Yeah. So as we look at it, ended up doing from Group A, covered Palmeiras and the knockout stage. All the 4 teams from Group B. So there's 5: PSG, Botafogo, Atletico Madrid, Seattle Sounders. Group C: Benfica, Bayern Munich. There's 7. I did Boca and I did Auckland. There's 9. Flamengo 10, Chelsea 11. That was it from Group D. Inter Milan 12. Monterey 13, River Plate 14, Urawa Red Diamonds 15. Now we get to Group F: Dortmund 16, Fluminense got them in the knockout. 17, I think so. Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa. They were incredibly fun. They just threw tactics right out the window.
Yeah, they're just like, they'll take the over, man. We'll just rock.
Yep, there's 18 right there. Juventus 19, Al Ain from UAE. There's 20. Wydad Casablanca from Morocco 21, Real Madrid 22, Salzburg 23. So I think 23 of the 32 teams. I don't know. I need to borrow your fingers and toes, John. But
That's not solid, because I was doing the math with you. I got 23.
did we go 23? Brilliant. And I think that's all. Let's go. We had North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. So I had every continent but Antarctica team from. So
I got to work on that, man.
Brother, when I tell you, I would wake up some days and I would go, okay, I've got my notes, but let me make sure I grab the one. Which team from which continent is playing who? And then let me tell you how fun it was learning pronunciations.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you, you know how this goes. Sometimes you get some names and they give you a pronunciation guide, but sometimes it can be a little bit differently said in different dialects and whatnot. So myself for the commentators, I work some great ones. Cal Williams from Apple TV, Tony Husband as well, Andy Bishop, who does a lot of stuff with Sky. He's European based, and Chris Sharples as well. Those are my four that I
So
got a chance to work with.
did Cal bring in the
The
mouth?
lip mic.
Yeah.
Can I show you? Let me see. I think I might.
Oh, do you have? Wait.
I do. I'm gonna do the worst thing you can do is I'm gonna go off camera to find this real quick.
Oh, this is fantastic.
I actually have a lip mic here.
Oh.
Yeah, how about this? So back in the day, our the guy who hired us, who's responsible for putting Tony Husband, myself, Lori Lindsay, the first season,
Yeah.
together. His name is Brad Baker, and he was a big fan of the lip mics. So I actually have a lip mic
There it is.
right here. So this is what you'll see some people use,
That's fantastic.
and it's really good in like and European stadiums where they're outdoors. They're sometimes in the actual gantry and in the stands.
Yeah.
And so you use this because it keeps obviously the close proximity of this. But man, so this is the Cal Williams special. He's always doing this, and he has this cool system actually. Because normally when you're chatting, a lot of people have microphones and headsets like what you have. That's more common in broadcasting, isn't it, John?
Yep.
And so when you're talking, you got your hands free, and a lot of times you can kind of hand motion, right? You can like point, you be like, all right, like you go next, or I'll go. But Cal has a system where he's talking, and then he'll go like exaggerated, like put his microphone down. It's so funny, the little nuances of broadcasting that everybody has.
Oh, he talks in all caps, man.
Oh, with alliteration, and he's wonderful. He's incredible. But Tony Husband and that was my partner for 3 years in Nashville. He was so good, man. There was just so many quality broadcasting people, both on camera and behind the camera, doing this, and it's like it felt like broadcasting sports camp heaven, because every day you just walk into the bullpen and be like, oh, there's Andres Cantor, who's next to Luis Garcia, who was on the desk that day with Juan Pablo Angel, and oh yeah, Dimitar Berbatov would walk in along the way, and Alex Scott was hosting. Katie Whitham was incredible at hosting. Lauren Jabbar. I mean, it was like a who's who every day. Mo Adams was incredible. Brian Dunseth.
Yeah.
So man, it was so fun, and we just had a great time, and I couldn't be more grateful to get to experience it all and get to kind of recap it with you. It's not even done yet. We still have the final on Sunday, but
right, yeah, and
what
so
an experience.
I wanted to ask: is PSG like PSG is the ish right now? I mean, they are insane when it comes to talent and what they're able to do out there.
John, there's no holes in their game. You want to try to defend them one way, PSG will hurt you the other. You want to go in high press, they're good enough to play around. If you want to try to sit back in, well, they're patient and they'll wait and they'll pass around. Miami saw that. Inter Miami saw that at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm sure a lot of your listeners would have been there because that was one of the premier matches, to be able to see Inter Miami in the knockout stage, the Messi versus PSG again. But man, I think if Chelsea can keep this close and keep it respectable, I think that the uglier, I said this the other day when I was getting a chance to do a show with Sirius XM. I said the day before we were pregame, or the day of, we were previewing it in the morning, and it was, if Real Madrid can make it an ugly game, they have a better chance. But it's like right now with PSG, I'd equate it to going into the ring with Mike Tyson in his prime, and standing there and just trying to throw punches with him. You can't do that. It's not going to go well for you. You got to make it as ugly as possible. And if you do, I guess you give yourself the best chance. But man, I think it could be PSG, and I think it could be PSG comfortably on Sunday.
I mean, you look at what they're able to do, and everybody's sitting there going, well, yeah, well, PSG this, and they talk about the opponent. Well, PSG this, PSG that, and it's like, well, Messi and friends lose by 4. But remember, Juve got waxed in the Champions League final, and so everybody's sitting there going, oh, MLS this, MLS that. It's like, no, fam. You remember what happened in the Champions League final? This has turned into the norm. They are a machine, and I saw a story where apparently Luis Enrique was interviewing for the Chelsea gig when it was open, before they gave it to Pochettino. And he comes in with this fantastic presentation of what, Luis Enrique does, and he breaks everything down to its finest little parts. And they were like, no, thanks, we're not interested. And they went with Pochettino. I want to see how this goes with Luis Enrique on the weekend.
I wonder if the people in that room that voted no, they still have a job today, But no, I tell you what, it's an incredible team, man, and I think Ousmane Dembele has proven he should win the Ballon d'Or this year. It's been incredible, but there were just so many different ways. João Neves in the midfield's an incredible talent. Man, Kvaratskhelia, that's a
Yep.
name I got to learn how to
Yes.
say. I tell you what, man, it's one thing when you're watching it and you hear a couple people different say it, it's all well and good. But when I had to try to say some of these names like that, that was one of the ones that I was going to bed the night before being like, all right, said my prayers, called the wife and kids, and then I was like, okay, Kvaratskhelia. It was like I was counting sheep trying to make sure I could say this name wrong, broadcasting nightmares right there. But it was
Yes.
but I will tell you this, something cool that I think is a cool fact to talk about. I had people from Major League Soccer, scouts and people in front office texting me throughout this competition. I truly believe you're going to end up seeing some players from this tournament end up in Major League Soccer sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
because it was an interesting viewpoint of like getting some of these teams. And I won't say for which teams, which games and whatnot, but there was definitely some of the games that were not necessarily the marquee ones, like the big ones. You're not gonna see somebody go from one of the top teams in Europe right now that's in their prime to you're not going to leave Madrid to come there. You're not scouting those games, but some of the other teams from some of the other continents and other countries, I would be shocked if you didn't see some players make the leap to Major League Soccer from some of those teams after the exposure that some of these other leagues got, which was one of the cool aspects of the FIFA Club World Cup.
Yeah. One of the folks that Jason had earmarked was Diosa from Monterrey. And yeah,
Incredible. I did 2 of their games, and the one that he scored the banger from
Oh!
distance against Urawa Red Diamonds. But John, it was crazy. It was this goal. So it may be one of the goals of the tournament. Nelson Diosa, don't even have to pull up my notes. Number 6 for Monterrey's defensive midfield. Big size, strong, powerful left foot. But John, this goal of the tournament, he scored in match day 3, a candidate for it. He faked a shot from right inside of the midfield line at the circle, and he got the forward to jump. He was so convincing. And then he moved it about 10, 15 steps forward, and he shot, and he bangs this in a thing that just moves and swerves different directions. And I was on the call with Andy Bishop for that one, and we both looked at each other like he faked a shot, and the guy respected the shot so much. He was just from midfield, and then he stepped inside and scored this banger. But yeah, that's a great shot right there. A player like that, he was incredible. He's a name, Nelson Diosa, that I would not be shocked if people in Major League Soccer were trying to ask Monterrey, how much do you want for this guy? He was so good.
Yeah, he right now is being courted by Sporting in Portugal, and our buddy Nino Torres from Goal TV, who calls the Portuguese league, was giving us the rundown of all that. And I mentioned Diosa, and I also mentioned Mihai coming from Famalicão to Atlanta United as a part of this whole dynamic. And Diosa is attracting a figure that's like 10 million right now. Transfermarkt had him at like 8 to 9, and so Sporting was looking at like 10 for Monterrey. We were tempted to lock the doors at Mercedes-Benz Stadium when Monterrey was playing to assure ourselves that Diosa could not leave. He's not
that good.
He's not allowed to leave and not afraid to shoot from 20 like you had in your match, but just in general, he had 3 shots from 20 outside the 18, and he didn't blink. He didn't think twice about it. He was ready to go.
He was in their last match against Dortmund. They lost 2-1 to get knocked out of the quarterfinals. He just kept smashing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody at that level can shoot a ball, John. Nelson Diosa can kick it differently than others, man. He absolutely hammers it. And so it's funny you said about locking the doors at Mercedes-Benz. I'm looking at the comments coming in, and one of them from one of your loyal listeners here saying the look on some of the players' eyes looking at the bins when they first came in, they were blown away. Yeah. That's how good Mercedes-Benz Stadium is. Some world-class players just play in some of the biggest stadiums. They walk inside a Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and they're like, oh, so this is what $1.5 billion looks like, huh? It's jaw-dropping, man. It's absolutely stunning, and it was so cool to see how many big games Mercedes-Benz Stadium got, and some of the big matchups, and of course you think Messi scoring that free kick, an iconic moment, just ridiculous. Come on, man. The guy delivers on the biggest stage to win against Porto. Love him, hate him because of where the proximity is in the rivalry. I get it. But come on, man. What a moment when Messi steps up and Andres Cantor is on the call.
Woo!
Oh my goodness, man.
Nothing like a 12-second hold. Literally, we were sitting there when Andres is on a call. We sit there and we literally look at our stopwatches on a goal call, and I time out the hold note. I mean, he's punching a 12-second hold note on a goal call.
It's incredible, man. And I remember just walking into the bullpen there at the studios and at TNT and just wanting to shake his hand and just like I was like, Andres, you have been the soundtrack to so many great moments of my soccer fandom. Like, thank you, And he looked like he heard that a million times over, so it wasn't anything new to him. But it was really really cool to see, and he was fantastic. He was as good as you could imagine meeting him. It was such a surreal experience the whole time.
In the 23 teams that you called, we mentioned Diosa from Monterrey. Who else stood out to you that might sit there and have folks knocking on the door of, say, a Mamelodi Sundowns or a Red Diamonds or something?
Yeah, there were some really good players like on the Sundowns. Lucas Ribeiro was really good from the Sundowns. He was number 10, a smaller stature, smaller framed player, but he was really really good. I really enjoyed watching him. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to go through now some of the teams. It's interesting because every team has a different need and different price point, right? Of who you want to spend, and so I'm trying to think of some of the smaller teams that we watch. Like
if Jamie Watson is constructing his 11 from teams that are not that are off the beaten track.
It's so interesting, right? Because like, what does a team like Wydad Casablanca pay, right? They have this forward, Kojalaba, who has scored hundreds and hundreds of goals for his club. Like, he's older. He's 33, but the guy's he only scores goals. It's insane, right? But what do these teams pay? I don't know some of the business structures of it, which is really difficult to kind of tell. But some names would pop up like Kaku, who used to play for the New York Red Bulls. He was there, so it was kind of cool seeing the MLS connections throughout. Mikael, who used to play for Houston, he's for Palmeiras as well. So is Facundo Torres. I think there were some really good players, and I'm going to skate around the question a little bit because the reason I will say this is there were a lot of people that I really enjoy working with on the scouting side of Major League Soccer that was reaching out, and I did give them some specific names, but out of sort of respect to that, I don't want to say which ones, but I think you said this, John, and Nelson Diosa, I was almost worried that he would have been on too high of the pay structure and transfer fee command. So I didn't say his name on purpose, but he was probably the one player that if I could really pinpoint on the higher side that probably has the realistic, top end Major League Soccer price tag, I think that he might be a player like that. But it's just tough. I don't know what teams would be willing to spend. So I just gave each time I would get a text, I would say, here's a good name, here's a good player. And I would move it on from there,
Absolutely. Who do you have this weekend in Major League Soccer?
So this weekend, I'll get a chance to jump over to FS1, and I've got an exciting game, Nashville versus Miami.
Ooh.
So tasty one, absolutely tasty matchup. So I'll get a break from Apple TV this week. Great collaborative effort because I was on the game Austin versus New England, but there were some scheduling changes around, so I got switched over to do the Nashville versus Miami game on FS1. So really looking forward to that one.
All right, so take the over, obviously.
Always.
Nashville seems. BJ Callahan seems to have unlocked Sam Surridge. Right now, Surridge and some dude named Messi are chasing after it. You got a studio audience, huh?
It's a lovely 4-year-old daughter that wants to come over here and have my attention, and she's so hard to say no to. So little Miss Graylin is over here as well.
Well, you're going to put Graylin on camera? Are you just going to sit there and not introduce us, or what?
Well, Graylin's now watching Peppa Pig, so you can't compete with Peppa Pig. No, I apologize for that.
No, I can't. But
I'll tell you what, BJ Callahan and BJ was great, by the way. We got a chance to be there with BJ in the studio. He came in and did a wonderful job, by the way. Very few coaches can come in and they can do a good job of being able to switch over. Oh, I think she might want to say hello now. Graylin, do you want to say hi? No, you don't want to say hi. Okay, but here we go. We got this. This is the dad life, that we've got going here. We're breaking down soccer at a high level and also making sure our 4-year-old doesn't yell at us because I'm a girl dad. And she's amazing. She's the best. She's got me wrapped around her finger. I think BJ Callahan did an amazing job, by the way, in the studio. He was so good. They put him on the big board and he was breaking things down. You could see how his mind just operates differently as a coach, and it was I absolutely stole a lot of things that he said and then immediately went and said it on the broadcast. But he was great. I think that there is a completeness about the way Nashville SC plays. There's two different players that can hurt you because Nashville fans will know this. The Nashville 1.0 era was all about Hani. And Atlanta fans will know this because Hani saved some of his best performances for Atlanta United fans along the way.
True.
But you knew if you could stop Hani, you could stop Nashville. Now you also have Sam Surridge that's contributing. You've got Hani that's contributing. You've got some really hardworking players in the middle of the park that continue to run and to press and to repress. And that's where Inter Miami have broken down their struggles is the repress. Okay, yes, ma'am. As breaking down the repress. Oh, I think she's gonna make her soccer down
There you
here.
go.
There it is.
It's
Come here.
Graylin.
Do you want to say hi? Say hi to Daddy's friends.
There you go.
There
Hi.
we go. There's Mr. John and all of his friends.
Yeah,
But can you give Daddy 2 minutes and we'll be able to come in and play with you? I'll help you. Okay, I love you.
Go.
Dad life never stops here. Thanks for letting her crash the party. She's
Always, man. It's always good. Studio
the
audience.
love of my life there. But I think what just to wrap that thought up, that's what Nashville have done so well is they've been complete in the fact that they are very, very difficult to break down. I don't know how I'm gonna go serious here. She's so cute. It's hard to say no to her. See how I'm up. And by the way, she's making me give her a Pez.
Nothing wrong with Pez.
At 9:30 a.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, 8:30 where I am. But
8:30 in God's
it's
time.
summertime, baby.
Yes. And you got to give out Pez. But Miami at the back, there's talk about Rodrigo DePaul. You've got all the firepower. Right now, it's like, okay, we're just going to outscore folks. And, you could have a match that could be dealing with the over on the weekend.
And I tell you what, man, I'm so interested to get your thoughts on Rodrigo DePaul because there's going to have to be some roster dancing that's going to have to happen, right? How are you going to be able to fit an extra, player in there, a designated player? You're going to have to switch up some of your roster build if you want to. Or
do you do this? We were walking through it yesterday.
Okay,
last number that we looked at in AM was that Messi and friends had a little over 3 million left in AM, and this was like late February, I think, was when the numbers were released by the PA. With the 3 DPs that you have, do you sign him as an AM player, prorated for half a season, and then do you sit there and go, okay, you're AM this year, and then we'll try to DP you or go high AM next year and then buy down Jordi Alba, buy down Busquets, figure out what you want to do because your 3 DPs all have contracts that are ending at the end of this season. So I'm guessing he's a prorated AM this year. Luis Suarez goes home to run the club, and that gets your AM slot there. And so you sign him to a Suarezian kind of a deal, and so he's probably a high AM or maybe a DP, and you buy down Jordi Alba or something like that?
Which could very well happen. I think that's genius, a good way to do that. I think that when you've broken that so well, I also wonder, is there a world in which guys like Busquets, I want to be respectful of other people's money and stuff like that. You would assume at the level that he's played at, he's probably set financially and couldn't spend it all even if he tried. I wonder if at the end of the season he also says, I want this to get better, so I will drop my salary request down and almost, you say like the hometown discount, right? Well, now it's almost like, is it trying to think of a clever name here. Is it the world beater discount here where we can be a world beater?
The Gulfstream Galacticos buy down.
There we go. Put a patent on it. Put a TM next to it because you nailed it there. No, it's something like that. I mean, I just wonder if there's an element to that of somebody says, one of them says, okay, fine, I've made my money. I've got 1 more year left. I want to play at a high level with other high level players. That's what I want to do. So it'd be interesting to see. Or does MLS come in and do they alter some of the rules and change it and go 4 DPs, right? And I wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't, you've got World Cup winners that want to come over now at 31 years old, and clubs that are willing to pay reportedly up to $20 million.
Yeah.
Are you going to stand in the way if you're Major League Soccer? Or are you going to say, yeah, let's try to make that happen as well too? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I don't think that MLS should shy away from the idea of figuring out roster constructions that bring over players, world-class players in their prime-ish. 31 is not your your full on prime, but he's starting for Atletico Madrid, right? So let's not sugarcoat it here. This is a top 20 team in the world, 25 team in the world. And so you say, okay, this is, a player that can start there. If a club wants to acquire him, we need to figure out a way to not stand in the way of it with our rules.
Yeah, and so I think that you opened up another door with that fourth DP. Go spend time with Graylin. Have a fantastic call this weekend with Messi and friends in Nashville. And obviously, you got the garage door opener. You can crash at any time. It's always great.
I'm a big fan of the show, and I'm going to go play dad. I'm going to take my soccer hat off now and go put my dad hat on, and whatever she wants me to do, I'll be doing that in just a couple of seconds while watching your show.
Pez at 8:30.
She tells me to hey, by the way, Relentless has just crushed the whole Pez dispenser.
Wow.
Unbelievable. All right. We're going to sign off here.
All right. Be good, Jamie. Bye, Graylin. Gosh. Bye. All right. So they're out. Jamie's going to go be a dad. Graylin crushed an entire case of Pez in like 3 minutes. 8:30 in the morning, local time. And a daughter is crushing Pez. That is a fantastic dietary choice on a Friday morning. Jamie Watson, it's always great to catch up with him. We got to talk to his neighbor, though, about mowing the lawn because it's like, dude, can't you see that Jamie's trying to do TV? He's trying to do TV, and he's trying to get stuff squared away. So Jamie's going to go be a dad, and it's always great to have Jamie Watson come down and see what's going on with him. So Chris Wittyngham set to join us top of the hour, and we'll break everything down Major League Soccer. We'll find out a little bit about Chris, considering it's his first time on the show, and I wanted to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit because Chris has called a lot of different leagues. And so my lead off with Chris is going to be, okay, how many leagues have you called this year? How many leagues have you called? Do you remember them all? So we'll get into that discussion with Chris, talk about Major League Soccer, all the things. Great to catch up with Jamie. Obviously, like I said, Jamie's got FS1 this weekend where he gets Messi and friends and Nashville. And so we'll catch up with that. Obviously, we got a couple of things to talk about with Atlanta United. We'll go here with one of them. And obviously, it has been in social media for quite some time. And if you were to follow this particular individual on his social media, you would know that he's wearing the gear. He's posing in rooms with sofas and things, flexing muscles and so on. It is official. Atlanta United has loaned Edwin Mosqueda to Millonarios, so the Colombian First Division, through the end of next year. So it is a year-long loan for Edwin Mosqueda with an option for a permanent transfer. So Fast Eddie is going to be spending the next calendar year on loan to Millonarios. And so for contract and we'll go ahead and go through contract numbers and contracts and things like that. And so we'll double check Edwin Mosqueda's status. Plus, we will double check his salary figure according to our friends at the MLSPA. And with Edwin, let me see if we can find him really quickly. Or did they already punch him out? Wow, that was fast. Okay. Let's see. So market value, Togashi, Ronald, Derek, Jamal, Tristan Muyumba. Wow, they already did. Wow, that was fast. Okay, so Edwin Mosqueda, it's no longer a rumor. Market value of 400,000 euro, but they had him rumored to Atlético Nacional. And so Edwin under contract with Atlanta United. And I thought, yes, they wasted no time with this. Okay, so Transfermarkt officially has him flipped. Okay, so they have him joining yesterday, actually. So joining yesterday, Transfermarkt, and it's a year-long loan till the June 30th of 26 option to buy. Current market value listed at 400,000 euro, according to our friends at Transfermarkt. And so from the MLSPA, when it comes to the salary guide and resources, which you really should have bookmarked, I don't, but I should. From a salary perspective, It was Edwin was making 425,000 base, 462 guaranteed compensation. So that was the rundown of Edwin Mosqueda. The thing about Edwin needs reps, and I think that he needs to be in a place where he can get constant playing time. He wasn't getting that with Atlanta United. You saw with Edwin that the speed is there and the imagination is there, as evidenced by the one golazo at Mercedes-Benz Stadium that sticks into my head. But he needed regular reps, and it was a chance for Atlanta United to send him to a place where he gets regular reps. Once again, option on a permanent transfer, so it is a loan for a year and a 12-month loan, short of the 10 days or the 11 days that we're here in July in 25. So Edwin Mosqueda loaned to Millonarios. He had been posing on social media wearing their gear last couple of days. And so Edwin is down there now, and he's got to work. And as the first touch needs to be worked on a little bit, but the speed is there, the talent is there, the imagination is there. He just needed a place to have regular reps. And so he gets that at Millonarios, and he will be down there on loan with an option for a permanent transfer. Now, the other stuff that we need to get into, obviously, with Atlanta United outside of on the field is the off the field. And yesterday, we found out that Garth Lagerwey is now in a cancer battle. And it is an indefinite leave of absence. This came out a little before 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And I know that you guys have been mentioning it in the Twitch pitch this morning. Right now, the way that it was released by Atlanta United, indefinite leave of absence after recently being diagnosed with cancer, has begun treatment, no timetable for his return. Prognosis of a complete recovery is encouraging. In the interim, Chief Soccer Officer Chris Henderson, Chief Business Officer Skate Knopfsinger, Senior VP of Strategy Demetrios Evstathiou continue to lead the day-to-day ops and will provide regular reports to Garth and to Rich McKay, CEO of AMBSE, during the absence. You got a statement from Arthur Blank, a statement from Rich. Garth's quotation in the release: I've made the difficult decision to step back from Atlanta United to tackle my cancer treatment head on. I'd like to express my profound gratitude to Arthur Blank for not only his support, but by doing everything in his power to make this process as painless as possible for me and my family. I could not possibly work for a better organization than AMBSE. Atlanta United has a high-performing leadership team in place on the business and soccer sides of the club. Chris, Skate, and Demetrios are experienced and talented leaders, and I have full confidence in their abilities to lead our club in my absence. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to seeing our fans again soon at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I shall return, end quote. And with that, obviously, you want Garth to focus on getting back to fighting this. You want this. I'm gonna phrase it this way. Anytime anyone is, and I'm gonna break the fourth wall here for a little bit. I hate cancer, and I know I'm not alone in that. Lost my dad to cancer, and it was just over 15 years ago. And anytime I hear that anyone is fighting a cancer battle, you want them to have the resources available. You want them to fight. You want them to focus. You want to make sure that this ass of a beast that is known as cancer, and I probably could earn the explicit rating discussing cancer in and of itself. I hate it. I hate what it does to people. I hate what it does to families, to relationships, and to the lives that you're trying to construct. I'm hoping that, actually, let me rephrase. I hope Garth kicks its ass. And I have no qualm about that whatsoever. I want Garth, I want the Lagerways, I want AMBSE, I want Atlanta United to kick cancer's ass from one end of the field to the other. And in Garth's statement, you saw that, or you heard that, he is blessed to work for a place like AMBSE. And we are blessed here in this market to have someone who cares for individuals as much as Arthur Blank does. So whatever it takes for Garth and the Lagerways and Atlanta United to kick cancer's ass, go do it. Because I hate cancer with every fiber of my being and probably every fiber of my family's being on top of my own. So we've got Skate, we've got Chris, we've got DE, you've got Javi on the analytics side. You've got a lot of talented people. They'll work on the business side and they'll continue doing what they do on the business side of things. And I hope that Garth realizes, and it was on social media yesterday afternoon and last night, the support that Garth has from all of us, 17s, media, what have you, whatever, envelope or pronoun you want to apply that to. I hope that the Lagerways feel it every day, the support that they have from people they know and people they don't about kicking cancer's ass. We probably should print up a t-shirt, kick cancer's ass today and every day. So that's the latest with Garth. That came out yesterday, about 2:00 yesterday afternoon. So Garth is undergoing cancer treatments, and we don't have and Abby, that's absolutely true, with Darren fighting it too. Darren fighting it over at Newcastle, Garth fighting it here. It does. It's Abby says between Garth and Darren Eales, good friends, both having a cancer diagnosis sucks. Yeah, it does. So fight it, kick its ass, and we'll see you when we see you. Come out and see games casually, trust in those around you, and know that we're here for you in whatever aspect you want to apply that sentence in that sentence structure. Kick cancer's ass today and every day. That's your t-shirt. Damn, that pisses me off. But anyway, that had to be, we had to talk about that considering what happened yesterday with the announcement with Garth. And so lengthy statement from Atlanta United came out yesterday afternoon and laying that out. So I'm going to keep an eye on that too. Once again, Chris Wittyngham set to join us top of the hour. Tell you what, let's go through juice boxes and everything in Major League Soccer, let you know what the numbers are. Chris will join us. It'll be his first time. Like I said, hopefully he won't go running off into the night with hands flailing in the air after the segment's over. And then we are planning a special guest coming up at 10:30. So we'll see what happens with special guest. And like I said, we got to be out a little after 11:05 because we've got to get ready for the twos and Columbus Crew 2 coming up this weekend at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Okay. Excuse me. Juice boxes this weekend involving all of the action in Major League Soccer. We will also, I will give you the juice boxes for the Club World Cup final at the Meadowlands. Now that I'm thinking about it, let me go down and drop that number. So Club World Cup final, it is on Sunday afternoon at 3:00. PSG's a -164, Chelsea's a +415, 90-minute draws a +326. So there you go. I think the safest play in the world is to go with PSG, nod your head, move on, tip your cap to Luis Enrique, and that's a show. All right, so the 740s on Saturday night, and it will be, it'll be another one of those where it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You'll have another 10 box in the Geo Hour over at MLS 360. Here's what's going on. Charlotte and NYC. Charlotte favored at a +104 against NYC, who's a +225. Your 90-minute draws a +278. Dean Smith, apparently the head coach at Charlotte FC, did not want Patrick Adjumong to go. The salary demands were rather large by his agent, according to Dean Smith. And Dean Smith decided to let everybody know, or let everybody think anyway, that in his mind, the EFL Championship is right there even with the folks in Major League Soccer. Dean Smith on contract negotiations with Patrick. If it came down to money, it's always money. Back in January, thought the club made a fair offer. His representatives had a totally different idea. that was way out of the ballpark for this club. Feels that Pat's move is more of a push from his reps than Patrick Agumang. He adds that that Dean Smith feels like the championship isn't much different than Major League Soccer. Tim Ream is back from international duty. Wilf Zaha is back from suspension. So in Dean Smith's mind, Dean Smith adds he feels like the EFL championship isn't much different than Major League Soccer. I would wholeheartedly disagree with him because you don't have half of the clubs in Major League Soccer trying to stay above water and paying more than 95% of your economics to your salaries. 13 of the 24 teams that were in the EFL Championship last time I looked had at least 95% of their budgets going to salaries, if not more. Look, you had teams that were like at 130% of their economics being paid to salaries. That's not how it works here in Major League Soccer. And the fact that Dean Smith feels he wants to deny an opportunity. Look, if Patrick Agumang isn't getting minutes in a system where he is allowed to flourish, why wouldn't he look for another place? Why wouldn't he? And the fact that Derby wants to pay roughly, what is it, 7.2 for Patrick Agumang? That's $7.2 more million that Charlotte gets to spend on other folks. But to compare the EFL Championship to Major League Soccer, that is a big gap in logic, and I would disagree. So you got that. Good on you, Dean Smith. Hell is Real is also at 740. FC Cincinnati favored at a plus 117. Cruz a plus 197. Draws a plus 281. Intrigued at that one. I'm looking at the draw at a plus 281. Purple team in Montreal. Purple team a minus 250. Set your fantasy teams appropriately if you did not set your team up for a double week. CF Montreal a plus 596 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Draws a plus 386. Philadelphia minus 122, hosting Red Bulls, who are a plus 315. Your draws a plus 270. Toronto and Atlanta. Toronto a plus 141. Draws a plus 252. Atlanta United a plus 177. We'll get Chris Wittynham's thoughts on it in the Atlanta United season coming up in a bit. Jamie, as he said, he's calling Messi and Friends and Nashville. And Messi and Friends a minus 111. Draws a plus 300. Nashville's a plus 252. Take the over. Find the over. Take the over. Let's look for the over here for a second because of the back line of Messi and Friends going up against the scoring that Nashville seems to be putting up under B.J. Callahan. 3.5 is a plus 122. I'd take that. 4.5, a plus 280. 5.5, a plus 563. So I like the 3.5, obviously, to get things started. But if you're really into totals, that's where I would go with that one. 830, 840. Austin without Brandon Vasquez for the rest of the season. Minus 104 at home against the Revs. Revs are a plus 261 at Q2, and your draws a plus 268. Chicago hosting San Diego. San Diego is a road favorite. Slight, but a road favorite at a plus 146. Draws a plus 280. Chicago is a plus 154. Loons in San Jose, minus 110 for the home side. San Jose is a plus 252, and your draw is basically a plus 300. 840 Sporting in Seattle. Sporting a plus 200. That number has gone up in the last 24 hours. Seattle a plus 118. Your draw is a plus 273. 940 starts. Colorado hosting Vancouver. Colorado a plus 160. Vancouver favored slightly on the road at a plus 156 in the composite. Draws a plus 254. RSL at home. Even money plus 100. Houston visiting at a plus 250. Draws a plus 263. LAFC minus 250. FC Dallas on the road of plus 587 in the composite. Draws a plus 400. LAG hosting DC United with out their former head coach Troy Lesane, who was dismissed yesterday. Technically after their late night Open Cup loss, where you had a 2-0 lead and you lose 5-2. LAG hosting DC United. LAG a minus 167. DC north of plus 400. draws a plus 326. And SNS, Sunday Night Soccer, 710, all caps, hosting Portland in St. Louis. Plus 120 for St. Louis City SC. Draws a plus 278. Portland is a plus 198. So to recap, Charlotte favored, Cincinnati favored, Orlando on the minus side, big favorite. Philadelphia on the minus side, favored against Red Bulls. Toronto, plus 141, favored against Atlanta. Messi and friends on the minus side, favored against Nashville. Austin on the minus side, favored against New England. San Diego, favored on the road at Chicago, slight. Minnesota, minus side, favored against San Jose. Seattle on the plus side, favored at Sporting. Colorado, Vancouver, pretty much throwing a blanket over the whole thing. Vancouver slightly favored in the composite over Colorado. RSL even money plus 100 favored at home against Houston. LAFC big favorite against Dallas at home. LAG big favorite at home against DC United. Obviously, the juice box purveyors looking and sitting there thinking that there's not going to be any new coach bump involved at DC. And then St. Louis City favored at home against Portland on Sunday night. So that's how it looks. Abby posting in the Twitch pitch. Mega Tifo this weekend also going to do a banner for Garth and all who are fighting cancer. Help is needed. Anyone can come and help. No photos. Wear stuff you don't mind getting paint on. And she has also posted the link to the Sign Up Genius link. So don't take any pictures, but go help out. They're doing 2 separate Tifos. One to show support for Garth and one for the beginning of 3 matches in 11 days as Chicago comes to town middle of next week. There's a bit of a surprise that we will let you in on early next week involving the Chicago-Atlanta match. It's a cool surprise. It's SDH-based somewhat, SDH adjacent. But next week, we'll let you in on that story coming up. Michael, not looking forward to the match this weekend. Let's see who's here this morning so we can say hi to everybody. Morning, Alex. Morning, Abby. Morning, David. And let's see. Morning, Michael. Kefsey. Morning, Kefsey. And let's see. Morning, Ricky with the news on Mosqueda. And morning, Sharif, who is back. And let's see. So there is Ricky, there is Michael, there is Abby, and once again, the Sign Up Genius, which I'm leaving up for a minute. Morning Robes. So that's the rundown for everybody here that is keeping an eye on things in the Twitch pitch. Looking forward to the visit for Chris Wittyngham coming up here in a couple minutes. The Cosmos returning in name. League One. They're playing in Jersey. They're playing at Hinchcliffe Stadium in Paterson, New Jersey. Stadium's got about 8,000 seats. Coming 2026, here's how they laid it out. Past, present, Cosmos. Feel like you need finger pistols or something like that. Past, present, Cosmos. So it's interesting there. There's some transfer news that we'll get into toward the tail end of the show. Morgan Gibbs-White is now an is he or isn't he. Nottingham Forest is mad about how things were handled. Brentford is getting Jordan Henderson apparently from Ajax on a free. So you've got a lot of moving and shaking going on. Remember, 13 days before the secondary transfer window opens up for Major League Soccer, you can talk about all the things you want inbound, and nothing can happen officially and be officially official until the 24th. And then it's about a month worth of activity. And so you can talk about all the things you want. Now we'll talk about all the things we want inbound coming up here, for the next 13 days or so. But the 24th, starting the 24th, it could be very, very interesting when it comes to folks. So let me see if I can spell. I always have a problem spelling Chris's name because it's like there's an H and a Y, and it's like ancient. It's like I'm all over the place with it. I really am. It's all of the things. That's where we are. See, you try and sit there and you spell something, and you're trying to be nice about it, and you always screw it up. So that's the way it is. No, it's like cut and paste. I just want cut and paste. I'm not asking for much. 21st century problems. Time for a debut. It's hour number 2. I may filibuster for another 45 seconds just so it's right at 10 o'clock. No, I'm not going to do that. Like I said, it's the first time that Chris Wittyngham is here with us on the show. And we're going to talk soccer. Because if we talked about other things, it might be a little off the rails. But, the show talks about everything off the rails anyway. So we welcome Chris Wittyngham to the show. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the morning show in the chaos and the hour of chaos, specifically, as we call it here on Fridays.
This is the hour of chaos. Wow. So I guess I have a lot to live up to then. I'll try and bring the chaos.
Well, we try to pace ourselves a little bit here. First off, thanks for doing this, especially as you're getting ready for match week and everything like that. I know that your schedule is probably how many different calendars do you have when it comes to figuring out what version of you has to be where?
Well, I do have a note in my phone where I keep my calendar for CBS and my overall list of games. It would probably be easier on a calendar, but for some reason the note on the phone is more effective for me. And then usually I do kind of the calendar for these sorts of things, like the radio hits and the coach calls and all that sort of thing. So I'd say probably 2 to keep everything in line.
Okay, because I'm 702 years old. I have 4.
Okay.
I have the daily. I have the
daily. So this is handwritten calendar.
Well, it's one of them. I have the handwritten calendar done like my old TV days, where you sit there and you make the line down the side, and it's like left is who's on and right is what else you have to do.
Okay.
Then you remember when we were growing up, when we would actually go into a thing called a bank?
Yes.
And we would do those kinds of things. I have my monthly calendar, like that you slide, underneath the glass, like the dude that would deny you the interest rate on your $37.28 for your savings account when you're 13 years old. I've got that to go under glass.
Yeah.
I've got the calendar on the fridge because the boss and I have conflicting schedules in the fall, and we do it in different colors. So it's like, I'm gone this time, you're gone this time. Oh, we have a gap space where neither of us have put anything on the calendar. So this is where that's where that goes. So yeah, I have 4 separate calendars, and the 4th one is the Google Calendar that I look at last because I don't know how to access it.
You don't know how to access it?
Like I said, I'm 702 years old. Anything involving technology for me is always a challenge. And so it's like, Google Calendar, did it make it into the Google Calendar? And I'm like, I don't know. So I just throw my phone down and I'm like, what else?
If it works for you, that seems a little chaotic for me in this hour of chaos. That seems like it'd be difficult to follow all of that.
That's why I end up with just having basically the 2 here in the office, and I ignore the other 2.
Yeah.
When it comes to the different versions of you that are out there these days, do you remember how many different leagues have you called matches for this year, whether it is for Apple or for Paramount or CBS or Choice D, all the above? Do you remember all the different leagues that you have called so far this year?
This year, yes. In the past, it would take me a while. But this year, yeah, Serie A, the UEFA Champions League, the CONCACAF Nations League, the NWSL, and MLS. I think that's it. I think.
Oh, how do you keep it all straight for the young and impressionable broadcasters out there that actually do watch this show against their better judgment? What advice would you give them to make sure that everything doesn't mash, and you're not talking about you're not talking about Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting when you're talking about Como, one of those
right
guys.
Yeah, I mean, well, Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting did used to play for Bayern Munich, so I guess finding the connections sort of helps. Yeah, I mean, look, I think in some ways a big part of everything is just kind of to be a mile wide and maybe a foot deep, maybe not an inch deep. I do think that in this sport, it's incredibly hard to kind of be across everything. Part of it is the work necessitates it. So I host Scoreline on the Golazo Network, which is an evening show, 5 to 6 p.m. every night, where we kind of round out all the highlights, all the news, and in doing that, get the plug in. But I really do think it's kind of instructive because it is kind of from the beginning, you're covering everything. So you start in segment A with the Club World Cup, and segment B, you're talking the Women's Euros, and segment C, you're talking MLS, and segment D, you're talking about some big story about next European club season, and then some news. And so it just necessitates it. So I'm a big reader. I read as much as I can. I do it the 2007 way. I have a bunch of RSS feeds that I pull from. So I try and read as much as I possibly can. And YouTube is actually an incredible service for me because, look, to be honest, I cannot watch every major European game, every major MLS game, every major Club World Cup game. And so I spend a lot of time watching YouTube highlights and catching up on things to make sure I at least know the big things. And then when a really big game comes around, or it's on when I'm in the office, or it's on when I have free time, then I will put the actual full game on. But it really is just kind of taking in as much information as you possibly can and making sure that there are things that you know for certain, right? You know who the players are on Real Madrid, on Barcelona, on PSG, on the absolute big teams that you talk about every single week, and then the rest you kind of use as prep. So I do think that there are certain things you kind of have to have as base knowledge that are inside your brain, not that you need to recall from memory or that you need to take notes on or whatever, but actually know. And that's kind of the beginning of it for me.
How many devices do you have fired up at any one time when you're trying to keep up with things?
So it's actually kind of funny. When we're in the office at CBS, there's a wall with 12 televisions.
Oh.
And so when I'm at that wall, sometimes on a Europa League Thursday or on a Champions League Wednesday, every single one of those screens has a different game in it. And then you have, a computer open or an iPad open. When I'm at home, it's usually kind of TV, laptop, iPad, usually when I'm at home. And I'm discovering, I'm of the NFL red zone generation.
Yes.
Which is to say that I grew up on, I was probably 17 or 18 years old when I watched it for the first time. And it was like discovering a new world. And so I love the NFL red zone and the whip around style. I have come to realize over time that if you need depth, it's not as useful as I wish it was. Meaning, like, you see the key moments of the game, but you don't really get a sense for the game. And so I do think that there are times where I am sacrificing a little bit more, taking in more tonnage in exchange for taking in things at a little bit more quality. So if there are 4 games on, I might have 2 of them on, but I would prefer to have 1 of them on because if I'm really going to take in anything about any of the game, I need to pay attention to it. So 2 is kind of my maximum. And I even kind of figured out, like, all right, if I have 2 games on, let's say on a Friday at CBS, it's a Bundesliga game and a Serie A game, I'll kind of watch each in 5-minute intervals. So I'll watch 5 minutes here and then 5 minutes there and then 5 minutes. So I'm trying to get some sense of the essence of the game and not just, there was a goal scored in the 38th minute. You're actually getting an actual real sense of what's going on.
And I will ask you for your best Poppy Miller story, considering that Poppy is one of our plus ones. She's one of our OGs here.
Yeah. Going back to the Charleston Battery days.
You got it. Exactly. That's when we started. By the way, next time you see Poppy, do this. Next time you see Poppy, ask her the next time she's going to do a P block.
Okay.
Because that was literally, we would do a Charleston Battery show. And it would be, A block, B block, C block. She would always be the end. She'd be the anchor leg, and it was always the P block.
That's brilliant. All right, I'll it'll know that I know a bit about her past.
Yes. So go up and ask her about the P block next time you see her. We are going to talk to Chris about soccer and Major League Soccer. Yes, I know, but considering this is his maiden voyage here in Office HD and on the morning show, I figured we'd try to let everybody know. It's like, oh, there's Chris Wittyngham, and then there's obviously questions. I guess let's do the since we're at the halfway point of the season for Major League Soccer, we can do the senior superlatives right now. Biggest surprise for you at this point of the Major League Soccer season here in 2025 would be blank.
Team or player?
Yes.
Actually, it's kind of one and the same. I'll go for Nashville SC and Sam Surridge.
Okay.
Because I do think that Sam Surridge was brought in as such a key piece as the designated player. He was meant to be the final piece for Gary Smith in Nashville, and he just was never able to get a striker online. And I really thought that Surridge was at some point going to head back to England, head back to the championship, a place that he's more comfortable and more familiar with, but he stuck it out with a new coach. And all of a sudden, he's the Golden Boot leader. And he scored 2 more goals in the Open Cup in midweek. And Nashville, I think, could be well on their way to win that trophy. That actually could be a really good semifinal should Philadelphia advance ahead of the Red Bulls when they make up that game. But Nashville, Philly are right now the top 2 in the East. And it would be, or 2 of the top 3 in the East. Yeah. And it would be a really good game. So having just seen them at Geodis Park, I think that Nashville are the surprise of the season, given how good they've been and kind of how little expectation we had for them. I was going through for preseason predictions, and because I had Nashville Philly this past weekend, Nashville was predicted to finish 10th and Philly was predicted to finish 12th. And so, honestly, you could pick one of those two teams as the biggest surprises, but I do think that Nashville and Sam Surridge as the Golden Boot leader in a league with Lionel Messi in it is certainly a big surprise.
Now, I've heard of that dude. Coach of the year, is it Varys? Is it Carnell? Who is it for you?
You could also include BJ Callahan for that turnaround work, kind of in the same realm. You can definitely throw Jesper Sorensen in there, although Vancouver has fallen off in the last few weeks. I just think, having been around Inter Miami for their expansion build, when I was down there in Miami, and I was around the team, and I was the radio announcer in that first year, and how difficult everything was, and even they were trying to go for big names and landing everything and landing that plane and developing a style. And I appreciate that San Diego, if anything, has more assets, as it were, to kind of go at the Major League Soccer season. But to put that all together, to have some players that you're getting a ton out of, college draft picks, even Chris McVeigh at center back, I'm going San Diego and Mikey Varas, because it's not just that they're good, which is hard enough as an expansion team. And I appreciate that that St. Louis were first in the West under Bradley Carnell, and that some expansion teams have come into the league and done well. Still think, though, that to not just be that good, but have such a clear sense of who they want to be, their style of play, and honestly be one of the best footballing teams in the league from day one, when you're kind of throwing it all together and figuring out answers and you have no prior information on how it's all going to work, is incredibly impressive, especially considering I do think that appointment was probably considered to be a bit underwhelming. I appreciate he was the under-20 national team coach, but I'm not certain he kind of came away from that with a huge amount of credit. So it was a bit of a risk. Everyone there has been taking risks in San Diego, but it's all paid off. And honestly, if I lived in Southern California, I'd want to go to every game, because it's entertaining, it's fun. Even though they lost last weekend in Houston, it's a 4-3 game. It was awesome. So I think the how defined they are in their identity is well deserving of the credit for me of Coach of the Year.
And at the same time, you got dudes that are not even household names in their own household doing well.
Yeah.
Diego, you get Tverskov, Anders Dreyer. Unless you really know your Orange County SC, you may not know who Milan Iloski is.
No.
I mean, you're piecing all this stuff together, and it's like, nah. Mikey Varas is like, nah, fam, I got this.
And also not even necessarily with Chucky Lozano going crazy, right? It's not like he's had an unbelievable, or they brought, I mean, he's good, 6 goals, 7 assists, pretty decent, but it's not like, you brought in 3 big name DPs, or they signed Kevin De Bruyne and Kevin De Bruyne is bossing it. It's with players that are, as you say, not household names that are getting it done.
All right, so since we've done the good, we can either do the bad or the ugly, and if it's the same in the good old GBU, that can apply. So the bad for you here at this particular point of the season.
I think you got to go Atlanta United, and I do appreciate that it's not the best time to say it, because Garth Lagerwey, certainly sending our best to him after yesterday was revealed he had a cancer diagnosis. Wishing the best to him, but with everything that they've spent, I predicted them, I think, to finish second or third in the Eastern Conference, and it just hasn't come off. There's something about the combination of players, about Latilat and Almiron and Miranchuk, that just isn't working. And even last week they played DC United to play out a 0-0 draw. That wasn't a brilliant game. They're, I think, relying too much on pieces that aren't delivering for them right now. And based off of expectations, I don't think there's a team that's underperformed to that level. And honestly, it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to see them in a playoff spot this year. So considering that they're 13th in the East, they won 4 out of their 20 games. I just can't see anyone else as being the answer to this question. And I still kind of think that there's a team somewhere in there, but you're getting to the point of the season where you're kind of having to write it off.
What about LAG?
LAG, of course. But at least there are mitigating circumstances. The Ricky Pooch injury, the amount of injuries they had preseason, the fact that they had to lose guys because of the salary cap, because it was getting expensive for them to keep their team. But and losing Jovic as well, who's proven himself in Kansas City. There are a lot of mitigating circumstances there. It still is the champion, going from winning everything to be playing some of the best soccer in the league to 2 wins in the whole season. So I definitely agree with you, but I think we were kind of expecting, with the number of key players that left, for them to take at least a little bit of a step back. I still thought they'd be a playoff team, and I thought Peck and Painsil could carry the day, but they haven't quite. So I do think that Galaxy are certainly an enormous disappointment, but I still think that, man, Atlanta, and part of that is sort of the money spent, and you can kind of get lost in off-season headlines, but Galaxy are certainly up there. But for me, Atlanta's that little bit bigger of a disappointment.
Chris Wittyngham, and he is hanging out with us here for another couple of minutes. And like I said, hopefully he's not going to be like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, coming down the stairs and running off into the distance after this particular segment is over. By the way, I do want to let you know now that you do have the garage door opener here to Office HD, you can crash at any time. If you're bored on a Friday, seriously, like at 10:30 on a Friday and beyond, when we're putting the last half hour of the weekend, you can come in, sit there, and say, "I want to get this off my chest," and turn off your microwave because apparently your breakfast is ready or something. I don't know what's going on.
It was my phone ringer. My apologies.
Yeah, hey, dude, look. We had Jamie Watson on the first half hour, and he had his daughter Graylin come in as a studio audience. Look, it is what it is.
When you've got kids running around, it's very difficult to keep them out of the room for enough time to do a full radio hit without distraction.
Well, and get this. She pounded an entire Pez sleeve at the end of the segment.
Wow.
And
so I'm actually in Connecticut. The Pez factory is around here. I love Pez. I love Pez. So I feel I haven't had one in a long time. So I have to go around.
All right, so you got the Pez factory, you've got the WWE headquarters.
Yeah, I used to live right down the street. I used to be able to walk to the WWE headquarters.
Oh, see, now that's the thing. But I don't know if you wanted to paint, the DX logo like they did those days. Go walk.
That would have been great if I did.
Just paint a DX logo on your way. Do that at the CBS studios. Just paint a big old DX.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was just an old address. Who are you calling this weekend?
Charlotte against New York City from Bank of America Stadium, which is a fun one because I have actually never been to Charlotte before, despite the fact that I have connected through that airport probably about 50 times.
Yes.
And so the fact that I actually finally get to walk out of the airport, I don't even know what to do or where to go when I come through there. There's the Chick-fil-A, there's a lounge over there, and the Lego store, and the food court with Jersey Mike's. I'm so familiar with the airport, but I've never actually walked out of it, so I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Let's see. So the thing is that when you walk out of Douglas, you actually, since it's like 15 to 20, literally you're flying into Douglas and it's like trees. You see downtown off in the distance and you're going, I need to go there. And you're flying into like Raleigh or something trying to land. I imagine that you're staying downtown close to the stadium. There are a lot of pretty decent eateries that are around. So I think you'll be in good stead. Just kind of kick the tires on Yelp and see if there's anything like barbecue-ish or anything. I don't know what your window is for hanging out. Are you like leaving later today?
No, I'm actually leaving first thing Saturday morning. So it's really only a lunch window.
Okay. So there should be some stuff downtown. So just kick the Yelp tires and you should be
all right. Fair enough.
All right. So Dean Smith, and we talked about this before you came on. Dean Smith apparently is comparing the EFL championship to Major League Soccer, saying that they're about the same, considering that Big Patrick Ajimong had I think it was a $7 million offer from Derby County heading to Charlotte. I would play Hollywood Squares and go, I disagree. Circle gets the square with Dean Smith and comparing the EFL championship to Major League Soccer. But there's some subtext and things going on in Charlotte with NYC coming to town. When you're looking at it from 30,000 feet as you're landing in Douglas, what do you see?
Well, I do think talking about that particular discussion, I do think because we have the EFL at CBS, and I do think that it's so interesting when we talk about league comparisons, even like, for example, this whole thing with the Saudi Pro League compared to a league like MLS.
Yeah.
I do think that, for example, the best teams in the Saudi Pro League are, as we saw at the Club World Cup, one of them beat Manchester City, better than most MLS teams. But I do think that the worst team in that league is significantly worse than the worst MLS team. And so I do think that for Charlotte and for Dean Smith making that comparison, I think if you were going to Sheffield United, Ipswich, one of the teams that you would expect to be competing for promotion to the Premier League, that is a higher level. Derby County was in League One 2 seasons ago, was promoted ahead of last season, and last year finished 19th in the championship. I think that is a lateral move, if not maybe a bit of a step down from playing for Charlotte. So I do think that Dean Smith has a good point in that respect. It's not just about the league. It's about, do you have kind of that upward mobility? You would have to have a great season there to maybe get a move to one of those top championship clubs to then maybe get to the Premier League at some point. You're kind of several years away from being where you want to be in European football. And I do think that there is a temptation now, with as much as we talk about Europe for American players, to not kind of smell the roses and go, well, is there an actual path to development or an actual path to where I want to get to by going to Derby County as opposed to an actual club that can offer that? kind of on the flip side, within the same club, Adilson Malanda is being linked with a move to PSV.
Yep.
That's different because you're playing at the top of the Dutch league. They won the Dutch league last year. They're playing in the Champions League. And so if you want to move to the Champions League, that's a different thing than moving to the team that finished 19th in the championship. So I think at that point, it is interesting. And then with Charlotte and the overall, dealing with that in the middle of a pretty rough losing streak or a winless run, a run where they have not been good for more than a month now, I think that's kind of difficult for Dean Smith to sort out. You go back to their last game against Orlando, they're 2-0 up, and they're unable to hang on to a lead at home, which is a difficult spot to be in. I think Orlando are better than Charlotte right now, so you can understand why. But Charlotte got to figure out how to close out results because I had them in Kansas City. They were 1-0 up into second half stoppage time and lost the game 2-1. So they got to figure out how to ice games away, which I wouldn't have thought would have been a problem for them considering how good they were defensively last year. But it has now become a problem. They're actually one of the bottom half teams in the East in terms of defending. So I think they got to figure some things out and then try and sort out the situation with Ajima.
And when you've had Christian Kalina between the sticks, basically saving your bacon every single week out, whether what your backline's looking like, he is turning into a mortal human being at times. And so that's something that you have to take to account of this also.
Yeah. I mean, last year, if you go by the advanced stats, he saved 11 goals, I think it was last year. And this year, like you say, he's kind of become just more of a normal MLS goalkeeper. Been decent, but not been as good as he was last season. And at one point, kind of, missed 2 games and David Bingham took over. So, yeah, when you don't have all-world goalkeeping, can you afford to kind of sit back in a deep block and defend even at home? They had 33% possession last week against Orlando. I think that's a figure that has to go up. They have to try and control games a bit more through midfield and with the ball. So I think there's definitely some things for them to figure out.
You realize, of course, that your Europe, it's going to turn into a drop, by the way, on the show. When you said Europe. It's going to end up being a drop for the show.
Really, and it is and it's kind of interesting. We just went through a Gold Cup where Mauricio Pochettino picked some players that were in MLS ahead of the players that were kind of in that second tier of European teams. And those guys in those second tier European teams are going, wait a second, I thought the whole thing was for me to go to Europe so that I can get the attention of the national team. And a new coach is coming and say, well, is it really that big of a step up? I don't think it is. So I think it's interesting that whole motivation of everyone must get to Europe now is maybe not quite the same thing because not all European clubs are the same. Going to Juventus is a much different thing than going to, I don't know, Go Ahead Eagles in the Dutch Eredivisie or something like that.
See, now you're going to have me go and try and find if I can get gear from Go Ahead Eagles Office HD. No, it has been an absolute blast having you drop by. I know that you're in your time of trying to get everything squared away so you can hop on a flight, fly into Douglas, go into downtown, catch a match, and all those kinds of things. So I cannot thank you enough for dropping by. Like I said, you've got the garage door opener. So you know that on Fridays or any other day of the week, you want to come in and parachute. Look, Terrence, if you ever talk to Tyler, Tyler has come in 3 times in a week. It's because, and literally we had Kendra on. And he was in the Cincinnati airport. He literally was at CVG and he got through security, parachuted in, gave Kendra some grief for 2 minutes, went to Sbarro and checked out.
Yeah, that sounds like Terrence. We used to work at Sirius. I think he still works at Sirius XM, and they had like a call-in line for fans to call in and give their hot takes about games as they were happening. And I think the person who used it the most was Terrence. So that does not surprise me whatsoever.
So as always, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on. Do not be a stranger. You know that the carpet is out, and so anytime you want to come in and chat, just let us know. You've got my deets, I think, as the kids say. So anytime you want to drop in, Chris, it's always cool. Thanks again for being on Friday. Be safe. Have a great call. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
You got it. There goes Chris Wittyngham. Chris Wittyngham survived his first visit. He survived his first visit. And this is where we bring in Jarrett Smith. And so Jarrett's in here on a Friday. So how are things in the Mountain Time Zone, sir?
They're going well. How are things in the Eastern Time Zone, sir?
Well, I mean, we had the news on Edwin Mosqueda come out this morning that it is officially a year-long loan to Millonarios.
If I'm not mistaken, 2026 is an option year too for Edwin.
Yeah.
So this is functionally he's loaned out until he's gone.
Yeah. And so that was the question that Michael had in the Twitch pitch, basically was
if they don't renew, If he's not bought, because there's an option to buy, if he's not bought, I cannot see a world in which Atlanta is going to pick up that option in 20 because it's a club option in 26.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
and-
is Edwin is functionally gone from the club.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was trying to break down Edwin, where Edwin needs reps, needs consistent playing time, needs to start, needs to continue to develop. He wasn't getting that with Atlanta United. There were some things that you saw from Fast Eddie. You got to see the 30 minutes driving people crazy. You got to see the imagination at times, but he needs a place to have regular reps. First and foremost.
he does. Yeah, he needs to be somewhere where he's going to play consistently. So yeah, that's that's kind of the most important thing I think for him is he needs to play consistently and needs to be somewhere where he's comfortable. And it's something you run into a lot of times with players is if they're not comfortable, they need to be somewhere where they are.
Yeah.
And if that's not going to be here, then you need to get him somewhere. And look, this for all of the like gravel road that has been this club for the last number of years.
Yep.
They've done a pretty good job of taking care of guys. Even going back to the Carlos Carmona thing in 2018, through different players through the years, if someone's got to go for personal reasons, they've done a pretty good job of that. Even Edwin was a weird one when he was at, back in 2022, I think, when he was in, or 23, when he was in Defensa y Justicia in Argentina on loan. Yeah. They canceled the loan. And Atlanta took him back, and it created that U22 backlog where Franco Ibarra got shipped out to Toronto. But it was a weird situation then because you can't, like, once the EGA cancels the loan, yeah, you don't really have room for him, but you kind of have to take him back because if you don't, then what you're doing by doing that is you're maintaining the relationship with them. You're trying not to burn down the forest,
right?
And it puts you in a weird spot, but you maintain a more professional relationship with them. But you're also trying to take care of guys. So if it's not working for him, you're bringing him back from somewhere where it's not working, and it might be impacting him on a personal level. So now he is. I think he's made overtures on social media to wanting moves. Well, which granted.
Yeah, I mean, because he was wearing, I think Millonario's gear yesterday on social.
Oh, he's been doing this since like preseason. Like he's been. I think he's been ready to move since preseason. And credit to him. Like he went out there, he scored the opener. He was dangerous when he got on the field. He was professional about it on the field, I think, and did his job. But if he wanted to go, then wish granted.
Yeah. And then you've got that coming into the matchup with Toronto. Toronto slight favorite at home. They've lost 4 of 6. Insigne Bernadeschi gone. And now Robin Fraser kind of gets to blend the team the way that he would like. And you got 2 struggling sides. And we're going to see today at practice, I guess at the end of practice, if Brad Gazan is going to look like Batman, the Phantom of the Opera, or if it's going to be Jaden Hibbert.
I think you would have to chain Brad to the wall to keep him from playing. He is that kind of psychopath about it all. He is a gamer. He is very old school in this way. I think you would have to chain him to the wall like Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yes. To
keep him from playing in this game. But that being said, this will be an interesting one. This is John, this is for me personally, this is kind of we're checking the nerves right now to see if there's any life left. Yeah. We're seeing if there's any twitch, any electricity running through this brain of this season.
Yeah.
Because damn thing's all but done. You got to point at DC at that game was like room temperature water out of the tap.
Yeah.
In terms of blandness and Brad got kicked in the face. In the DC game, he took, if you remember in the DC game, if you watched it, if not, well, here's your update.
Yes.
Luis Abram caught him across the face while Brad went down for a ball, and Abram was trying to get it. It was just kind of a bad timing situation, but Brad went down for a ball. Abram kind of kicked him in the face.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it
was unfortunate.
Yeah, Luis is going backward, trying to defend.
Yeah.
Brad is coming forward, trying to grab the ball. And Luis's left knee, I think, as he's going past Brad, hits Brad on the left side of his face, and they diagnosed a fractured cheekbone.
So he had surgery this week. He's going to want to play. Like I said, the man is Brad is very old school about this. Always has been, always will be, I think. But he's going to want to play. But yeah, that game was pretty damn tepid against DC. If you can like drag a win out of this game, it at least shows. It doesn't mean that your season is saved, because I'm going to be honest with you, John. I don't think it can be saved at this point. It doesn't mean like I would love to eat crow. I'd love for them to pull like a 2017, 2018 Sounders kind of vibe. That'd be great. Would enjoy that thoroughly.
Yeah.
I don't know that they can. I don't think they can. Whole damn season's on live support at this point, and it kind of feels like we're just keeping it there to keep it there. But if you can pull 3 points out of this game, you at least show me that maybe a couple key people are still out there fighting and scrapping.
Yeah.
You draw this game, we're just kind of where we are. You lose this game, and I don't know, man. Like I don't know where whatever's below bedrock. Just depending on how the game goes. Like if you lose at 1-0 on like a deflection or a weird penalty, that sucks. If it gets out of hand, then you have found something below bedrock. But until they play the game, there's no way to know for sure, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right now, Atlanta's at 18 points, 20 matches, so 14 matches to go, 18 points, 10 points out of the play-in round, and Toronto is a point behind them at 4-11-5 at 20 matches played, 14 to go, 17 points that are attached to Toronto as well.
Yeah, and objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Look, Galaxy only have 2 wins, but Galaxy not as far behind you as you would be comfortable with right now.
Yeah.
It's just been a shit year. On multiple fronts. The Garth Lagerwey news.
Yeah. Talked about
hitting. Yeah, man, that hits harder than just about anything. If for those of you that haven't interacted with him, Garth is a very big personality.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Has never been anything other than very cordial and pleasant and fun to talk to. And this always kind of gets into the thing where when people start getting antsy about sports jobs, of wanting people gone, because I felt this way about Carlos and Darren and now Garth as well. I promise you, these guys don't want to fail. Like for Garth, this was taking it to the sporting side of it for a minute, away from the human side. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
This was a different challenge for Garth. Like he had been that technical director before. This was him taking on a spot that was a step higher, where he had the final say on things, and this was going to be a very different and more broad chapter in his career as an executive. And hopefully that career is not done. In terms of like, hopefully he is able to recover to the point where he's comfortable coming back in and doing this job. Because I promise you, it's a tense, stressful, draining kind of job, especially at a club like Atlanta that has expectations and money, and desires left, right, and center. Right now, I hope Garth isn't worrying about that, even though he will.
Yes.
Even in the pressers, like he's going to be getting information from Demetrios and Chris and Skate.
Yes.
Like, he's going to be getting updates. He's going to be asking for updates.
Yeah,
but I hope
he's going to be that guy. It's like, so how was it today? Well, you put your phone down,
Yeah, I'm hopeful that he can put his phone down enough to just enjoy time with his family and recover, and just get back to 100% or close to it as you damn well can.
Yeah.
Look, this club isn't going anywhere in the sense of it's not like it's going to vanish overnight.
Yeah.
So, hopefully Garth can just catch his breath, recover, fight through this. And we'll all be here when he's in remission. So,
yeah. So that's what we're staring at. We talked about Garth in hour number 1. Talked about Atlanta United. Chris Wittyngham discussed Atlanta United coming up, with what he was looking at the halfway point, considering the expectations that he had with Atlanta United. Not alone in his assessments.
It is for me the most disappointing performance in the league this season.
Yeah.
From where expectations were to what they are, I think it's they are the most disappointing team this year. And that someone's always going to be in the stocks.
Yeah.
And this year it's you, Atlanta. And that sucks. Doesn't mean it stays like that forever. It's why we enjoy good times when they happen, because they don't last forever. And it's why we don't burn everything down when there are bad times, because those don't last forever either. Right.
So it's navigating it as best you can and trying to see where it is on a daily basis. Okay. I was somewhat teasing a special guest star. And as it turns out, special guest star has made it. We have to work on avatars, but a special guest star has made it. Jessica Charman joins us to wrap up the week. So, Jess, long time no talk.
Hello. I could not let you down today. It has been quite the flaking process, John. If people could see our text chat, it is just me saying, hey, I'll do it next week. Hey, I'll do it tomorrow. So I'm very glad. You know me. I am a woman of my word as much as I can be, but life has been a little hectic lately. But so glad I can be back with the OGs.
Yeah, and this is a tease that we're also going to have you early next week as well, but we're not divulging that reason until it's officially official. But it'll be good to have you on for a couple of shows this week and next. I wanted to discuss some things, starting off with the Club World Cup and how incredibly jealous I am that you have an Espérance de Tunisie jersey and I do not.
I mean, I don't know if you want what comes with having that jersey, John, because I am viral in Tunisia.
Viral in Tunisia?
Yeah. So like the equivalent of BBC Sport Tunisia picked up my posts. And when I say I gained like 500 followers, all of which are like Tunisian middle-aged men, no issue with it. Like absolutely fine. It is what it is. I'm glad that they support me, but it was quite surreal going on Facebook for you and it being me, a photo of me with like Arabic captions. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't on my bingo list of my Club World Cup experience, but it was pretty freaking cool. And honestly, those fans, like Flamengo is really, really cool as well. But the Brazilian teams got their love, and rightly so, But I think if there was one team that maybe didn't get as much attention as they deserved, it was the Esperance fans, who were incredible. And I mean, even the fact that we were in Philadelphia with them, and then like I think it was Nashville. I'm trying to remember. I was all over the place.
Yeah.
It was Nashville, right? Okay,
Yeah.
good memory, Jess. And so, like, for them to be able to travel, and the embedded reporter was telling me they had traveled, some from Tunisia, from Dubai, from France, from Canada, like, because it's such a worldwide team. I just think for people to spend their money to come watch their soccer team is a beautiful thing.
No doubt. Jarrett, for Jess, talking Club World Cup and other stuff. Go for it.
All right, let's cut to the chase. I want to talk about goalkeepers, and I want to talk about goalkeepers possibly kicking people and goalkeepers getting yelled at on social media for doing their job, even though they stretch their bodies out and and put themselves in incredibly dangerous spots, and then other people in the GK union calling them out. And
But we're
then
evil, right? We're evil goalkeepers that only have the intention of hurting others. This, like, being a goalkeeper, as you know, Jarrett, is bloody hard, right? Like, it's not easy.
it's a
And
suicidal activity
you
at best.
literally dive in head first, and everyone's like, oh, they have the advantage. They can use their hands. Well, not really. Like, okay, in an aerial duel, okay, a goalie has the advantage. But when you're laying yourself flat out when someone's running at you full sprint, it's a dang accident. Like, is it horrendous? Yeah. Have I been in this situation? I still remember there was a game I was playing for Watford where I went in for a really awkward challenge like that. And I got the ball. My momentum took me through the lady's leg, and I heard a noise that sounded like I broke a leg. I don't know what happened. They ended up having like the medical team taken, but I was shaken up about it. But it wasn't a malicious thing. It's just the nature of the beast. And how often is it the goalkeeper on the other end of it? I mean, as someone that witnessed Petr Cech getting absolutely steamrolled by Stephen Hunt, these things happen, and 9 times out of the 10, it's the goalkeeper that's worse for wear. But when the goalkeeper gets worse for wear, everyone says it was an accident, or it was their momentum, or they couldn't stop their running, or they jumped over the keeper and they tried. But when it's the goalkeeper making the mistake, there's not the same benefit of the doubt. And that's where I think that we need to realize that do goalkeepers make mistakes with timings? Absolutely. But at the same time, you're throwing your face into someone's boots. Like, are you really the one making the malicious act? I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing, is like you're in that instance, and I feel for Donnarumma, because when you watch the slow motion, it's like, oh man, that sucks that he rolled up his ankle. Also, the person whose leg he's broke seems cool with it. It was like, hey man, that's just games, baby. That's just sport. But also, so often when you see those in freeze frame, how close it is to a goalkeeper getting kicked in the face. Like, you're putting your face down
Yeah.
there where
And
someone's
then the
boot
other
is.
freeze frame that kills me is everyone wants to like freeze frame where they're saying he's laughing or whatever. Like, do we know that? Like, I don't think he was laughing. It was a weird freeze frame. But this day and age, it's like the same with VAR, right? You can freeze frame or slow mo anything to get the right conclusion that you want. And that's not a football move. Football takes place in full speed where people are making last ditch moments. And if anything, I thought maybe the defender had a role in like the way that he shielded the ball made it really awkward, but no one's blaming the defender. It's always the goalie's fault.
Okay, we did. Okay, okay, yes, because I also had this argument with the U.S. national team, in God, was it the Costa Rica game where Freeze misplays the ball, because Tim Ream plays him this
A
gopher
hospital pass.
hunting, yeah, this gopher hunting rocket ball that he has to like that he's as he's getting close down where he can't take another touch to settle it, and it's like it's like Freeze has to do better with that. Like, your center back could not like fire it into you from 20 feet away
It's
bouncing.
funny because with the modern game, everyone expects goalkeepers to have the distribution of midfielders. And look, a lot of goalkeepers do have really good distribution now. Just look at Hannah Hampton in the Euros with that pass through for Lauren James's goal. Remarkable passing range for goalkeepers now. But at the end of the day, you want them to be the best shot stoppers, the best decision makers, the best vocal goalkeepers, the best one-on-ones, the best, dominating their box. But you also want them to have better footwork than your midfielder. Like, chill out. Like, what a goalkeeper's meant to be, literally superhuman. Like, it's at some point we're going to sacrifice shot stopping, and I think we're already seeing it with some goalkeepers, shot stopping or other key components of a goalkeeper because they've got better footwork. And look, I get it, goalkeepers need to be an outlet, but at the end of the day, you cannot criticize them at the same level for their footwork as you can a defender. And I loved Tim Ream for the time he had at Charlotte when I was there, but at the end of the day, if I'm a goalkeeper, and maybe Matt Freese needs to be more vocal. We've seen him in the it was Freese in the Atlanta United game, right? With the error where like it was shielded back to him or he didn't come get it, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
So
like
like
Ream plays it
Freese
back to him.
didn't Freese didn't he needs to be more vocal as a goalkeeper. Like for me, if I'm peed off at my defenders, I hold them accountable. I don't think Freeze, and we've seen it in a couple of moments for country and for club, gives enough of that. Like, I would love to just see him like call Tim Ream out, even though he's a veteran. Like, because as a goalkeeper, we should protect ourselves by being very vocal when someone screwed us over.
So, Jarrett, do you want to go ahead and say the word pissed?
I mean, yeah, I already got us the explicit rating this morning. You can get as
I
pissed
know.
as you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Because also you could just repeat everything Brad Guzan says, because Brad Guzan gets an explicit rating 8 seconds after he rolls out of bed. I'm pretty sure.
yes.
Because
That's
you talk about
goalkeepers for you.
yes, but you talk about like being that vocal guy. Like I will never like lives rent free in my head is the 2019 U.S. Open Cup with Atlanta and Charleston. They played behind closed doors in Kennesaw. The
Yes.
only two voices you could hear in that stadium loud and clear was Brad yelling, and on in the stand, Leandro Gonzalez Perez was not playing in the game, but he was sitting in the stand, and you could hear that hoarse voice of his yelling
Man,
at
I have not
everyone
heard
on the field.
LTP's name mentioned in a lifetime. That is insane. What a throwback that is. How
He just got his
appropriate of a
B&C
throwback.
license.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jess, let me ask you this. Going back to the Musiala Donnarumma thing. When Manuel Neuer comes out post-match, says what he says, basically throwing another keeper under the bus, when all you got to do is look at file photos and file tape of Manuel Neuer going knees up and elbows up and all this kind of stuff. What did you think about Neuer and, frankly, the sporting director for Bayern saying what they said, throwing Donnarumma under the bus for? And I understand, I get the whole team thing and trying to be supportive, but they went over the line, I thought, when it came to what they were saying post-match, blaming Donnarumma for the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you have to be really careful where it comes with intention. You know, it reminded me of, do you remember the Wrexham one when Paul Mullin had his lung collapse? And
Yeah.
Parky came out and was like talking about his character and all of that as the goalkeeper, even though it was like a young goalkeeper making a mistake. And I know it's not really the same with the level of experience, level of pay that these goalkeepers get. I think that you have to be so careful when you talk about someone's intention and also someone's character, which even if you don't directly say it, that's what those sorts of comments kind of talk about, right? They inflect about someone's character, about someone's decision making. I understand protecting your teammate. You're shocked. It's horrible. I mean, it looked disgusting. Let's be honest. It was a
Yeah.
nasty injury to look at. You're emotional. You're maybe not thinking, but take a deep breath and be very careful because, as you've mentioned, like if you're that goalkeeper, you feel like rubbish anyway. You've been a part of that. Every human being would feel like rubbish. To rub it in is pretty crappy. And then, as we always talk about, the GK union is a really real thing. Like, I know it sounds mythical, but there's a really special connection between goalkeepers because they really do have a unique mindset, a unique loneliness, a unique responsibility. I mean, being a goalkeeper is the best and the worst thing that happened to me. It's lonely, it's difficult, it's emotional. I lost a lot of sleep. I mean, you're the enemy half of the time and you're the hero maybe 1 in a million times. So that goalkeeper union thing is huge. And I think that in that moment, you can say, I was shocked about the tackle, but I understand these things happen in the speed of the modern game or something like that. But it leaves a poor taste in my mouth yet again, because the more you look at it, the more I just don't think it's a malicious thing. And okay, the guy's hurt. That sucks. But we can't claim that it's malicious without really knowing, or being the only person that knows that is the goalkeeper involved.
All right. How many teams did you and you were paired with Danny for the whole time, right? For
I was
defending.
with Danny until Danny got elevated. I got kicked out at the end of the group stages. Danny continued on, but that's okay. I'm not no, I'm kidding. It's fine. It was my first ever work for the UK. I was not expecting a knockout round. When I signed up, I knew I was getting 6 group stage games with I had 6 games with 6 teams. So it was really nice because I saw every team I did twice, which was really good by the end of the tournament, that you know the teams. Because when you have 6 games in 12 days with a whole different bunch of rosters, pronunciations,
Mm-hmm.
teams, it was a lot, but it was amazing. And I was really proud of myself because I broke the stereotype, and some of the English audience might not have liked it because they're used to people saying, Martine, what do they say in England? Martinez or whatever they say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't say the names,
Martinez.
but I nailed the pronunciations and the amount of tweets I got. Like, does this girl speak Arabic? Because she is pronouncing the names correctly. Wow, is this lady from Brazil? Because she's pronouncing their names amazingly. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I was very proud because anyone that knows English commentators, the stereotype is that they butcher pronunciations and anglicize everything. I will not be that person, guys. So love it or hate it.
But you
I
got
will
inside
try
insight.
and repeat how it comes out of the player's mouth.
Yeah, when their mom wants to have a conversation with them and bring them in for dinner, how do they call their name? That's basically the question that I always ask.
The one that was annoying me though is like adosere is how you say it, but nobody was doing it right, and that bothered me.
Well,
Nobody.
but you got it right though.
Exactly. I sounded like I speak Arabic, so there you go, boys.
All right. So I asked Jamie Watson about this when Jamie was on at the beginning of the show.
Oh, Jamie's worked with me. Did you ask? You should have asked him about me.
I should.
Jamie, do you want to know what Jamie did in my MLS debut? This
What?
was it was not my MLS, it was my second MLS game. I did my MLS debut with Devon Kerr. My first game with Jamie Watson. A player got hit in the man parts, and I said the words. Well, that one was quite I'm sure that one was very painful. Jamie said, yeah, it was. We've all been there before. And then took a really awkward pause and said, well, not all of us, I suppose. And it was just very, it was quite the, yes, it was a good moment. But the issue was they literally zoomed in on the gentleman, like rearranging his package.
No.
I'm like, guys, I know we have a male audience predominant. Well, no, not in MLS. We have a very female audience too. Maybe the females would like that. Who knows? But when you have a female play-by-play, let's try not to cut to the close-up of the man rearranging his genitalia, because what do you want me to say?
Special delivery, maybe?
No, John, it was my second game. I had to play it safe.
Yeah, no.
Now that I like this weekend is game number 6, I can take a few more risks, I suppose.
No.
Maybe.
Basically, it's dead air, or you have Jamie take it if it's match number 2. We were all looking at teams and the players that we were watching from the teams that we don't get the chance to watch. Like you got Esperance and a couple of others that are not part of our normal viewing habits.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the players that you think folks here on this side of the Atlantic should be grabbing from rosters on the other side of the Atlantic and bringing them in as a part of Major League Soccer? Who are some of your standouts from some clubs?
Well, I know he's had some controversy, so I'm not even sure if it's a possibility, but Yusuf Belaili is incredible. And I was so disappointed when he picked up the second yellow card for diving, because then he missed the third game for Esperance, and I think it would have been a really different match for them if he'd have been able to play. He's just incredible, electric, explosive, so talented. So love what he did. Really passionate player. Obviously saw him score the goal. So Yusuf Belaili, fantastic. I do think it was kind of hard that he got that yellow card. I don't think it was a penalty. For me, simulation needs to be like a true dive, not overselling it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't like players overselling it, but if there's a little bit of contact and you feel it and you go down, that's not, to me, what the yellow card is for. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just don't think you've ruled out the penalty. Do you need to give a yellow card there when he did feel contact? And again, we go back to football playing moves. Anyone that's been running full speed and gets even a touch, sometimes you do go to ground because you're caught off balance. So love Belaili. I don't think he'll ever come to MLS because he's playing for Al Hilal, but Salem Aldosare is so good as well. I think he pulled his hammy in the second game I did, so he missed the rest of Al Hilal's incredible run, but I thought he was absolutely amazing. And then again, never gonna go, but Yassine Bono, what a goalkeeper, man. It was just lovely to watch him play in person. Absolutely loved that. Wallace Yan was pretty good, but he's going to go for big money. Honestly, guys, I hate to say it, if they're playing in Club World Cup with the money that they're getting, it's going to be pretty difficult. I liked watching Hugo Lloris play again, and it was kind of cool to know that I commentated Giroud's last game for LAFC. So I guess that was kind of a cool moment as well.
There you go. Jarrett, what's on your mind?
Hugo Lloris has been doing this for 15 years, pulling France out of the fire, and God bless him for it. But let me ask you this then: of the Club World Cup teams, how do you stop the PSG Death Star?
Oh.
I don't think you do, man. Holy crap! Like, They are so good. It's just been amazing to see. And what I love is they're led by such like a humble, grounded coach that just everybody is rooting for. I don't know if you stop them, but I do love that the rhetoric towards MLS has had to take a pause based on the fact these statistical comparisons between Inter Miami's performance and Real Madrid's performance is bringing me a lot of like, even though I'm not the biggest Inter Miami fan, right? I think anyone in the Major League Soccer that worked for a different club understands like the difficulties of a team like Inter Miami coming in and becoming a darling, right? Now I work for the league. Obviously, I see it from a slightly different perspective, so be careful here. But I think that it's so nice to see that MLS slander kind of have to take a pause because Inter Miami was more resilient and put up more of a fight against PSG. That I'm kind of happy to watch PSG dominate everything, and they just play exciting, fun soccer. I don't think anyone's stopping them. I think it's going to be a first ever, because that's technically what it is. This is the first ever FIFA Club World Cup, guys. Some of the commentators on TNT are like saying it differently, but we were told very specifically by DAZN and FIFA that this is the first ever edition of the FIFA Club World Cup. This is a brand new tournament. So the first ever champions of the FIFA Club World Cup is going to be PSG, surely. I would put 27 juice boxes on it, like a full Sam's Club juice box.
No doubt.
Sorry, Chelsea.
No, I'm right there with you. So do you get a weekend to catch your breath?
No, I'm flying to Chicago tonight.
Oh, wow.
I got Chicago, San Diego tomorrow, boys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, MLS season pass, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Jess Charman, Ian Joy. What a accent matchup we're gonna have in Chicago at Soldier Field.
Pick it out. Waiting for that from Ian. That's good. So with the study hall with Chicago and San Diego, Mikey Veras, coach of the year for you, or is it somebody else?
He's just the nicest guy I've spoken to. The one thing I've had to adjust to is season pass. It's funny because like in NWSL coaching calls, I feel super chill because I've been around it long enough and people know who I am now. And also I do the world feed, so I don't lead the call. With season pass, I have to lead the call. And it's quite, I don't want to say intimidating because I know I belong. But as I get used to it, I'm a new face, like introducing myself, asking these questions, hoping that the coaches haven't been asked these. Because when you come into a league mid-season as a voice, it's quite difficult because you haven't had the chance to ask the coaches questions, things like that. So like I've done 3 Chicago Fire games. So this is going to be number 3. So Greg Berhalter's probably fed up of me, to be honest. He's a gentleman. He's lovely. And then I'm going to have to chat with Greg. Hey, I can hint here. I'm not going to say the exact words, but I might be talking to Greg on Monday or Tuesday next week. Read between the lines if you want to.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Also, don't have to fly anywhere this midweek, so that's going to be cool as well.
Allegedly.
But Mikey's just so lovely. It was so cool. The minute I popped him, I was like, oh, I haven't got to meet you before. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, ask away anything. The way he talks about the game is fantastic. And the biggest thing I took from the coaches' call is they want to be an and team, not a but team. They enjoy the ball and their pressure is on point, not a they're good on the ball, but they can't work in transition. They always want to be an and team. And I thought it seems such a basic concept, but I absolutely love that because it's so true. How often on a broadcast are we like, well, the goalkeeper has great shot stopping, but his footwork sucks. Or this midfielder is really physical, but he's got the touch of a donkey. So I love this kind of ability to be able to be an and team. And I want to be an and broadcaster, right? And so Mikey has really inspired me to. It's funny, I had this call yesterday and now I feel like that's like I'm gonna steal his motto from San Diego and just take it to my life, that I want to be an and broadcaster where, hey, she's really good at goal calls and she understands the flow of the game, or she's really, really well informed on the team and she's able to control the tempo of the match, those kind of things. So we need more and people in our lives and less but people. So I think that's like a mic drop moment, honestly.
All right, so we'll make that your mic drop moment. So MLS season pass, Jess Charman, one of our OGs, always an OG, going to be calling Chicago and San Diego, where I would probably take the over, considering the offensive talent on both of these teams.
I was going to say, these teams score goals for fun, but also let in a lot of goals. So on paper, Chicago's already been involved in 2 games where a team has scored 7 this season. Wouldn't put it against it, but also now that we talk so much about the goal scoring prowess and the lack of defensive ability, it could be 0-0. Who knows?
Yeah, we jinxed it. So it'll be great to see you and Ian Joy pick it out on Saturday with Chicago and San Diego. And then wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll have you back early next week. How about that, Jess?
I can't wait. Thank you, boys, for having me as always. Always an OG. Thank you very much.
All right, there goes Jess. So, Jarrett, other matches this weekend that you're keeping an eye on, does anything else stick out to you when it comes to all the activity?
Well, let's see. Let's take a look at the schedule.
Well, you've got
I've got it pulled up.
okay, cool.
If you want to read it out for people, that's fine.
Well,
But don't do it for me.
Well, no, but I mean, you've got Hell is Real, you've got Philly Red Bulls, you've got Atlanta, Toronto, Messi and
Philly
friends.
Red Bulls. Philly Red Bulls will be fun. I forget who it was that wrote it. Might have been Doyle over at MLS who wrote it. That what Philly thrives on is chaos, and good teams don't allow chaos in the door.
Mhm.
Which is why Philly is a really good team. But hey there, Rich, whenever you pick this up. But the question is can Philly break down teams that are really good that don't let chaos in the door?
Yeah.
That'll be the interesting one. I know you said Inter Miami and Nashville.
Yep.
Nashville's going for 5 straight wins. Look, Nashville's the hottest team in the league right now and is at the top of your do not want to play list.
Mm-hmm.
What BJ Callahan done is absolutely outstanding work. When Gary got fired last year, they were very much in the woods. They got BJ Callahan in. It was not pretty for a while. They missed the playoffs. He apparently kept them for basically like a postseason camp, which Walker Zimmerman attributes to a lot of what they've done really well. Messi and friends are always going to be fun, but Nashville right now is the biggest buzzsaw that you do not want to play in this league, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so there's that one. Jamie's on the call for that one. Jess is on the call for Chicago and San Diego. Austin, without Brandon Vasquez for the rest of the season, is going to be hosting New England. They're a slight favorite. So there are a handful of, Hell is Real, Cincinnati, Columbus, and DC heading out to LA to take on LAG. DC decides that they've had it with Troy Lesane. And
he did not. Okay.
he wasn't given the resources to compete.
No, he was not. My brain is giving Robin Fraser vibes for Troy Lesane in the sense that I don't know how good of a coach this guy is because the resources were not there. Like Robin Fraser's resources in Colorado, he had one really good year where they finished, I think top 3 in the West. It was great. More power to him. But they didn't continue to spend for him, and it fell apart. But Troy Lesane did not exactly get a lot of resources to work with in DC. And I don't know what to make of what Troy Lesane can be as a manager. In the same sense that, like, even Robin Fraser going to Toronto, I don't know what to make of Robin Fraser as a manager. I'm not, because like you can tell me like, oh, well, like Fraser had that one good year in Colorado, and then it fell apart and it wasn't good. And like, I'm not going to judge him strictly off this Toronto season.
Yeah,
I'm not, because he's been handed a really weird hand, and now he's lost 2 of his DPs. Now maybe the chemistry on that team picks up. I don't know.
Since the 2 players were the ones that were, one of the 2 players was linked to multiple run-ins with multiple coaches.
Yeah, like there's levels to this that I can't sit here and tell you that Robin Fraser's a great coach or a terrible coach. I'm certainly not going to tell you he's a terrible coach just because Toronto isn't having a great year, because like, man, look, we literally just watched Chris Armas go to Toronto, basically get hired to do a job, not have the pieces to do that job, and get fired.
Yeah.
And then go to Colorado. And look, Colorado's up and down this year, but they're spending, they're giving resources, and they were good last year. And I think they're still trying to find their feet, and he's still trying to find himself as a manager. But, yeah, man, like Troy Lesesne and Robin Fraser both are guys that I'm not going to sit here and damn them as managers because what they've been handed.
Mm-hmm. So we'll keep an eye on DC heading out to LAG. LAG is favored, chasing after their third win of the year. Does DC get the new coach bump from someone that they brought in from Europe? And they wasted virtually no time in naming as their new head coach. So we'll see what happens with DC. See what happens with Toronto and Atlanta, and what your gut tell you about what's going to happen at BMO.
Well, okay, so we have the question of, do you judge Dyla off the season since he came on to a broken roster? Oh, buddy. So first off, we didn't think the roster was broken to begin with.
Yeah.
We were wrong. But we didn't think it was broken at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you are going to judge him on some things. I'm also to the point personally, and this is a me thing, this is not an SDH thing.
Yeah.
I'm as if not more critical of the players on the roster, because going back over a calendar year now, I've watched guys on this roster not be able to lock in consistently. They did it under Gonzalo Pineda. Mm-hmm. They did it under Rob Valentino. Go back to the Nashville game, which was kind of the fulcrum of Rob's time as his second stint as interim manager. Because go back to when Atlanta lost to Nashville at home and got embarrassed by a Nashville team that had not turned the corner yet, and got physically dominated and pushed around and didn't fight back. I have watched this roster just look like they don't have that dog in them. Yeah. And because like, here's the thing, it's not always going to be roses. Yeah. You're gonna have to fight through. This is to blend your analogies. I think it was John Smoltz once talked about, you only have your A+ stuff on the mound. What, like 3 or 4 times a year. The rest of it, you're grinding it out. Mm-hmm. You're only going to have most teams are only going to have their like 3, 4, 5 goal a game, beautiful champagne styles a couple times a year. Yep. Then it's going to line up. You're going to have to grind out the rest of it. And right now, this roster does not feel like, and maybe individuals do feel like, I'm not going to speak for all the individuals. As a collective, this roster does not have that grind mentality on them to grind out those tough times, to grind out those tough games. So will Dyla be judged? Yes. He's the manager of this team, and God bless him. He is trying different things. God knows he has run out 85,000 different combinations, different ideas, different formations, different setups, different instructions to try and find something that works. But look, Edwin Mosqueda is already out the door. Remember, it takes 2 to tango. So before you start burning the roster down, understand, guys, you have to have a place for guys to go. Yeah. I think personally, that will be, if you can do it, it will be a very, very busy summer. Yes. There will be a lot of bloodshed. Yep. Will Ronnie be judged for it? Yeah, because he's manager. Whether you think that's fair or not, he is a manager. He is going to be judged for it. We'll see how the season ends after the summer window. We'll see if they find, you just brought in a center back as well. Let's see if they find some cojones about themselves. As far as this game goes, as I jump off the off ramp to John's question, sure. I don't know. It's a team that so often looks like they're thinking instead of playing. And playing scared, and I'm sick of watching them play scared, man. Like, and when I say play scared, I mean like when Atlanta gets into the final third, it's like they're afraid to drive at someone, and it's like they're afraid to take chances. Yeah. And it's for me, John, it's exhausting because I am expecting this team to be more like what we saw in preseason. Mm-hmm. Which was aggressive in the final third, trying to make that line splitting pass, playing that more dangerous ball. Because when you do it your own in the final third, that's fine. The insanity of this team is that the risk taking is so often in front of their own goal. And whether that's Miguel Almiron, who is all over God's creation, dropping back everywhere to get on the ball and then misplaying passes. Almost gave up a goal against DC the same way you gave one up against Red Bulls. Miguel Almiron dropping way back into the back right and then playing a ball across the middle that was just ill-advised and poorly hit. Like, that's where you're taking risks. No. Take some damn risks in the attacking half. Get into the final third and take a risk. Play a ball over the top. Like, try and get creative. Don't just get it out to Brooks-Lair and ask him to pump in a blind cross. Don't just ask Pedro Amador to hit an early cross. Take some chances, play some through balls. Try and combine, try and pick out that pass to break a team over your knee. And they have not shown that bravery in the attacking half. And I'm flabbergasted by it, John.
You're not the only one.
I know, but that's just me articulating how I felt about it. Ronnie was at the twos match. Great. Look, I've long maintained at this point, if things are cooked, I'm bringing guys up. Like, I'm putting Will Riley out there now that Jay's out for the year, especially. Like, I'm putting Will Riley out there to fight. If I got to call a short term now that I'm down a winger, if I got to call a short term a Moises Tabalante, and I tell him, hey, I need you to play too stupid to be afraid ball. And because Tabalante will drive at you. Like,
yes.
Man is insane. Luke, I need more Luke Brennan minutes. I need Cayman Togashi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, driving at people and pressing people and getting stuck in a quarter of a second late. Because if you're starting 11, because a lot of times what will happen is a manager gets stuck into into the idea of, I'm going to run my starting 11 out there because there's tension on the job right now and we need to win. And these guys are giving me a chance to win.
Yeah.
Great. But when you're doing that and you're still giving up 3 goals a game, you might as well see what the kids can give you. Might as well see what it looks like when it's Noah Cobb and Efrain Morales, who was your man of the match last weekend. Like, might as well see what you got, man.
And on that note, once again, reminder, the very, very busy weekend. Atlanta United, Toronto FC, that is Five Stripes Countdown with Maddie and Abe, 6:30 on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Kickoff at 7:40 from BMO, and then the full-time report after. Then, with everybody flying back from Toronto, and by the way, unified match, Atlanta United, Toronto FC. There are conflicting reports, 9:30, 10 o'clock in there on Saturday morning, so keep an eye out on your socials. Toronto FC is saying 10, Atlanta United saying 9:30 in their releases. So early Saturday morning, keep an eye out for that. 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there. Atlanta United's unified, Toronto FC's unified. First match for them since 2019. So I think Jason and the Hoff will have the call on that one up at BMO. Then on Sunday, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app, Maddie and Jason will have the Twos and Columbus Crew 2 on the network. We'll have pregame on SDH about 7 o'clock, go for about 20 minutes. Then we will yield the balance of our time. And then about 7:25, Maddie and Jason will come in, and it'll be Maddie and Jason on the call, 92.9 The Game for the Twos and Crew 2. I'll be on for halftime. We'll have post-game, and we'll let you know what's going on with that. So very, very busy weekend at 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app for Atlanta United first team. Unified, you can watch that on socials and on the Twos as well on Sunday night from the Fraction. So you get your action from the Fraction, and you can have Mo at BMO on Saturday. So very, very full weekend across the board. Jared, as always, my friend, now it's 9:12 on a Friday morning. Thanks for, as always, dropping by.
No problem.
It is time, since it is a Friday, we have to play. We have to make sure that the whistle, the Friday whistle plays in its entirety. So for Jarrett, for Jess, for Chris Wittyngham, and for Jamie Watson, and for everybody else here at SDH. It was a fun show. It was a full show. We always like it when that happens on a Friday. So play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. We will catch up with you again before you know it. Saturday, Sunday, back here on Monday. And because it is Friday, this is where we go.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are our